It is not often that I confess to being baffled. But for a short while today, the disappearance of Ned Madstone struck me as the most complete mystery imaginable. It was as if he had been simply scooped off the surface of the earth. I am pleased, however, that I was able to work out the truth for myself. I spent a frustrating night raging against the system that had covered up his arrest. How typical, I thought, as each succeeding bulletin on the television, and subsequently on the wireless through the early hours, failed to disgorge so much as a scrap of news. How supremely typical. The police had been got to, it was clear to me. Some squalid Central Office lackey had swung into action and initiated a cover-up. I was tempted to ask Tom, in whose house I have my basement flat, if he knew anything. Tom works at party headquarters in Smith Square and is privy to all the gossip. I should know, I regularly read his paperwork when he's upstairs drunk in his bed. I tamped down the desire, preferring not to have to answer questions, but it was frustrating to me that nothing of Ned's arrest had yet emerged. Rufus and I should have tipped off the press as well as the police, I told myself furiously. It was naive of me not to have thought of it. I made a mental note to myself. One day, I resolved, I will put a sign over my desk. This is, after all, England. And I shall make no important decisions without referring to it. Although it seems now that I may have done the police and the establishment an injustice, the sign over the desk is still a good idea. In the normal course of events, Sir Charles had been due to arrive at Catherine Street at midday for a diary meeting. It seemed obvious to me, however, given the lack of any news, that he must have come down the previous night to bail out his son and establish some kind of media blackout. Nonetheless, I was determined to ensure the full involvement of the press somehow, even if it meant another anonymous call from a phone box. First, however, I would have to see precisely how events had unravelled at Catherine Street. The prospect of Ned's embarrassed explanations and confused protestations of innocence to his father filled me with delicious anticipation. Would he have been sent up to bed without any supper? Would he have been believed? I had decided to offer him exactly the same spaniel-eyed tactlessness and clumsy sympathy that he so crassly meted out to me. Despite a great eagerness to be there as soon as possible, I took the tube to Victoria at my usual time of 9:30. While I would have loved to be there earlier, it was important not to show that I expected today to be anything more than a perfectly normal Friday. As I turned into Catherine Street, I was delighted to see a police car parked outside the house. Things were looking up. Such a sight argued against any concerted or coherent cover-up. At the most, it suggested a very incompetent one. If the police had been got at, they would hardly be there now with an unmarked car outside the front door. Perhaps the drug squad were searching the place from top to bottom, I thought, hoping to enter and see floorboards up and books scattered all over the Baccara. What an agreeable prospect. I looked up at the facade and fancied I saw a face pressed against the window of the first-floor study. I let myself into the house and mounted the stairs, preparing an expression in which I hoped that mild curiosity and impassive preparedness were nicely blended. Sir Charles was at his desk in conversation with two policemen. I saw that Ned's girlfriend, Portia, had been the face at the window. She stood at it now, restlessly turning her head one way and the other to look up and down the street, her breath misting the pane. "Ashley, thank heaven!" cried Sir Charles, rising excitedly to his feet as I came in. "Sir Charles, what is it? Is there something wrong? Have you seen Ned?" "Ned? Not since yesterday, sir, no. Why, has he gone missing?" "He hasn't been seen since 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon." "Good Lord," I said, "but that's bizarre." The policemen were eyeing me with curiosity, and I bowed my head respectfully in their direction.